I heard this great quote somewhere. Don't remember exactly where, but it's basically saying how kids see love as time spent with them, right? Which makes a lot of obvious sense. How else you're going to build a strong relationship with your children if you're not with them a lot, right? And prioritizing play, which I said in one of my previous posts. And I've been really fortunate where my last two jobs were largely home based. So even when our older child was still a baby, I got to be there with him basically 24/7. But then even later on when I switched jobs, luckily my second job was again largely home based. So, when we had our second kid, I could do the same thing and be there with him a lot as well. And I kind of prioritize this to a pretty crazy degree, where there's been opportunities in the past where I could get this different job that would pay better, where there's just one in particular where in the same kind of field that I'm in, I applied for it. It was paying a decent amount more money. I went through a couple interviews, but once I found out that, I would be home part of the time, but I'd have to be in the office a whole lot more than I currently am, typical, like, 9 to 5, 8 to 4 type shit. That right there, deal breaker, no deals. I'm out. Then even at my current job, where my boss has backed off of this a bit, but for many years he was telling me, man, go back to school, get, this degree, get this certificate, etc., etc. You'll get a big old pay raise. Work would help pay for my schooling, and even like doing remote work, going to school remotely was an option as well. But even for that, deal breaker, even if I was home, right? The fact that I have to be cooped up in the office that much longer, going to these classes, doing all this extra work, where even if I'm in the same house as my kids, but I'm not actually with them, playing and interacting with them, well, then that doesn't count as time spent. So that right there, deal breaker, toss that shit out the window, man. I told him maybe, like, give me like 10 years when my kids are older. Yeah, maybe then I can go back to school or something like that. But, toss that out, put that on the back burner. And this is kind of a mess up thing to say, but my dad was a firefighter. My older brother currently is a firefighter. That was always my dream job, growing up as a kid. Or what do I want to be as an adult? I want to be a firefighter like my dad. But, because of the way the shifts work here, right? You work 24-hour shifts, and it's basically like this. You go on, off, on, off, on. Then you get 4 days off. But that's still, 4 out of the 9 days, you're gone 24 plus hours. And this is a messed up thing to say. I mean, I love my dad to death. He was the best dad ever. But, there would be times where, when he was home, the house dynamics would be a little bit different. My mom was a bit more lenient and nicer with things, particularly if my dad happened to bust me for something. I'd find myself actually preferring him to go to work. And, that's just not something, that's not a kind of situation I ever want to be in. So there were several times where the fire department here was hiring, they're really understaffed. So there would be a decent chance I could make it in. And even at the time, too, a couple times when this came up, it was paying more than, what my current job and salary was. But then just the whole time away thing, I'm like, man, I'm not willing to go disappear for, a full day, 4 out of 9 days. So I tossed that shit out the window. But, yeah, prioritizing time, I think, is huge. Prioritizing play, really building that relationship with your kids is priceless. I don't ever see myself on my deathbed, wishing I had more money or wishing I spent more time with my kids. I mean, that's an easy pick there, right? Spend more time with the ones you love. So, yeah, prioritize times with your kids and play with them. Oh, and one more important thing I forgot to say about spending time with your kids is it doesn't count as spending time with your kids if you're with them, but while you're with them, you're trapped in there as the adult, staring at your damn phone, which is actually the main reason that when I post my stuff, it tends to be at such odd hours, like late at night. Because when I'm with them, I'm not on my phone scrolling through Instagram, TikTok, watching YouTube videos or anything like that, or trying to edit my video and figure out what I want to say to go ahead and post it. So that's a really important one. And yeah, until the next one, keep parenting legit.